Picture this, not a dusty, forgotten corner of history, but a bustling, sun-bleached harbor in the early 1700s. A place where ships with black sails rest at anchor, not to raid, but to trade. Where the streets are muddy, the taverns are loud, and the men who walk them are the most wanted criminals in the world. Yet, they are free. They have built something impossible, a functioning, democratic, and utterly anarchic republic, run by pirates. I'm Ibnul Jaif Farabi, and this is Empire Builders, the rise and fall of civilizations. We're sailing to the Bahamas, in the wake of the War of Spanish Succession. When the war ended in 1714, thousands of seasoned sailors, privateers who had been legally plundering for the British crown, were suddenly unemployed. Cast adrift by the empires that used them, they faced a stark choice: a life of brutal, poorly paid naval service, or something else. They chose something else. They chose to turn their skills against the entire system. And they needed a base. They found it in Nassau, on New Providence Island. The British governor had fled, the forts were in ruins. It was a power vacuum, and the pirates flooded in. By 1716, it was the de facto capital of the Atlantic underworld. This was no random pirate den. This was the foundation of what historians would call the Pirate Republic. Its architects were legends: Blackbeard, Charles Vane, Calico Jack Rackham, and the fearsome duo of Bonnie and Mary Red. But the true empire builder here wasn't a person, it was an idea. The first pillar of this idea was a radical social contract. Aboard a pirate ship, and by extension in Nassau, they forged a system of direct democracy and social welfare that shamed the so-called civilized world. Captains were elected by the crew and could be deposed by a vote. The quartermaster, also elected, acted as a check on the captain's power during engagements, a kind of pirate separation of powers. The loot was divided according to a strict, pre-agreed charter. Compensating men for injuries, lost limbs were worth more. This was a meritocracy of mayhem, and it extended ashore. In Nassau, a pirate's money was as good as anyone's, and a crude but real sense of communal law prevailed. They had created a society of outcasts, and for a brief, glorious moment, it worked. But the second pillar was, of course, sustained and terrifying violence. The Republic's economy was predation. Its ships were a blockade against the entire mercantile system. They didn't just take cargo. They often took the vessels, swelling their fleet. They perfected psychological warfare, the black flag, the performance of madness, to make merchants surrender without a fight. This violence was the Republic's engine and, ultimately, its fatal flaw. You cannot build a lasting state when your sole export is chaos and your sole import is the wrath of empires. And that wrath arrived in the form of one man, Woodes Rogers. A former privateer himself, Rogers was appointed royal governor of the Bahamas in 1718 with a simple mandate: cleanse the nest. He arrived with a royal pardon in one hand and a squadron of warships in the other. His strategy was masterful, a classic play from the empire-building handbook: offer amnesty to split the ranks, then crush the holdouts. Some, like Benjamin Hornigold, took the pardon and even became pirate hunters themselves. Others, like Blackbeard and Charles Vane, chose defiance. The fall was swift. Vane was captured and hanged. Blackbeard died in a legendary, bloody battle off the coast of North Carolina. The democratic pirate codes couldn't stand against the centralized, relentless pressure of the British Empire. By 1720, the Pirate Republic was effectively dead. Nassau was tamed, brought back into the imperial fold. So, what are we to make of this empire of anarchists? It's easy to romanticize, and I do find a perverse admiration in it. Here was a group of dispossessed men and remarkable women who, cast out by the world, built a miniature, functioning society that valued consent and fairness more than the monarchies they preyed upon. They were brutal, yes, but they were also reacting to a brutal system. Their republic was a protest carved into the history books with cutlasses and cannon fire. It proved that even in the shadows of empires, other ways of organizing human life can flicker brilliantly and violently into being. But it also proved a harder truth, that protest, without a sustainable model to replace what it destroys, is often just a spectacular kind of failure. The Pirate Republic was a flash of lightning in a storm, illuminating for a second the shape of a different world before the darkness of the old one rushed back in. For Empire Builders, I'm Ibnul Jaif Farabi. This is a Light Knot Studios production. You can find more of our stories at https://www.lightknotstudios.com.